C3PO being disassembled and then trying to get himself put back together again is a motif that is carried through with Luke and also even with Han. It's a motif of the movies. In this case, it's physical. It's a physical manifestation, but in the rest of it, it's either emotional manifestation or a personality manifestation of somebody that sort of ripped themselves apart and is trying to put themselves back together again. So it's fun when you can take a literal character, in this case, you know, a Tin Woodsman or Humpty Dumpty, and break them all apart and then have part of the movie be about how he gets put back together again physically, which is what Luke is trying to do, what Han is doing in terms of his morality, but more importantly is what, in the end, what Darth Vader is trying to do.
At least now he gets a bit more serious and actually puts two hands on the lightsaber. His unfortunate new problem is that he's now away from the carbon freezing chamber, so he doesn't have a way to actually constrain Luke and bring him back to the Emperor. But he also still doesn't really want to hurt Luke yet, so I think his only plan here would have been to just overwhelm Luke as much as possible and pretty much bully him into submission.
You are beaten. It is useless to resist. Don't let yourself be destroyed as Obi-Wan did.
It's not until Luke actually manages to land a nasty strike directly onto Vader's shoulder or neck area that he's actually willing to hurt his son. I mean, Luke's a real threat now. If not for that armor, this would have most definitely been a killing blow. So no more playing around, no more holding back. Now that he actually wants to hurt Luke, it's only a matter of seconds before he literally disarms him. Now stick with me, because I'm about to change the way you see this duel forever. Vader did obliterate Luke, so it's understandable why so many people immediately assume that he won this duel. But I don't think it's that simple. Luke getting his hand chopped off was not the killing blow. Some people think that it was Vader's revelation that he's Luke's father, but that's not it either. So I would argue that it's actually Luke who dealt the killing blow when he chose to jump rather than join Vader. His own son, a final reminder of what his life could have been, had rejected him. Vader was not expecting this, and you could see how defeated he really is as he watches Luke fall, presumably to his death. I've heard people argue, why didn't he just use the Force to lift Luke back up? But if you're asking that question, you're not realizing that what's more significant is that he doesn't do anything at all. He's absolutely stunned at the fact that his own son would rather die than join him. He's speechless, the emotional shock completely numbed him, and we see this cause a major change in Vader's psyche. He's now broken. He is 3PO dismembered. Keep this phrase in mind, it'll come up again. Throughout the entirety of The Empire Strikes Back, if an Imperial officer made any error, Darth Vader made sure that they paid the price. There's almost an excessive amount of Force choking just to hammer this home. After the duel, Vader is standing on the bridge of his Star Destroyer and gazing out the window towards his son. Admiral Piet confirms that he deactivated the Falcon's hyperdrive, so when you see it take off in the light speed a few seconds later, you're just waiting for Vader to kill him. But he doesn't. He turns, looks back at the window in disbelief, and then walks away in defeat. For the first time in the entire movie, Vader doesn't punish anyone for their failure. But his lack of a reaction says even more.
He's too upset to even bother with killing his subordinates. Yeah, because he's really, we're talking about his son now. So he's conflicted. It's not just hate anymore. There's more to it than that. He's 3PO disassembled.
3PO being dismembered and then trying to get himself put back together again is the physical manifestation of a common theme that repeats throughout the saga.
But in the rest of it, it's either emotional manifestation or a personality manifestation of somebody that sort of ripped themselves apart and is trying to put themselves back together again. More importantly is what, in the end, what Darth Vader is trying to do.
So sure, Vader did chop off Luke's arm and shatter his worldview, but Luke is the one that truly broke Vader and allowed Anakin Skywalker to emerge through the cracks. It's now for the first time that the viewer sees how pathetic Darth Vader really is.
Not this big, all-powerful monster. He's actually a pathetic man who made some wrong choices, who found himself trapped in the world of evil.
I'll not leave you here. I've got to save you.
And the only people that can get him out are his kids.
You already have. You're right.